What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece, Season 22, Episode 6. So in this episode, Luffy has met Loki. So they're talking. Loki introduces himself, calls himself the Sun God. Says he considers himself to be the strongest in Elbaf, but with the Sea Prism Stone, he feels weak, so he's basically chained up. You know, Luffy's excited to be in Elbaf, and so they talk and so yeah, Loki mentions, Shanks, basically that, like he mentions, he fought Shanks and yeah, so he calls him a coward. He calls Shanks a coward. Luffy immediately gets into Gear 4 Bounce Man mode and tries to attack Loki. And Loki, seeing that Luffy wants to find Shanks, offers to tell Luffy about Shanks if um Luffy frees him. And then yeah, so and yeah, so now manga fans will know when Loki sees Luffy, like in his reaction, thinking about Shanks. Manga fans know why Loki reacts the way he does, like when he first sees Luffy's face, because he knows that Luffy is like admires Shanks. Like in manga spoilers, I kind of already gone over that, but it actually it's actually a big deal, especially with you know what some of the stuff that's about to go down. I think next year in 2027, whether they call that season 23 or season 22 part 2, whatever. Fans of the manga will know some crap's about to go down about like Loki's backstory, whatever. Anyway, yeah, it's good. There's gonna be a really long flashback coming up next year in the anime. Anyway, so as far as like everyone else, so Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Chopper, and Usopp, they see the other pirate tribe. They see like someone who looks like they just been shocked by lightning, so they realize it's the Sun God guy. And then and then they see one of this other giant holding the the Sunny, and so yeah, and then yeah, so then basically well, there's one funny story with Luffy. So you see these humans who I guess were trapped in what Loki called the underworld. It's like a prison area. So Loki had tamed all these animals, whatever. Luffy tamed them immediately with his like conquer software, and Loki's like, what the heck? Who the heck is this guy? Yeah, and so you have Hydrogen, Stanchion, were I guess hunting, because there's like some animal they were hunting that only exist in the in that air in the underworld. And so yeah, so and then basically so yeah, so Usopp believes that they could be like friends of like Dorian Bragi, so like some of those giants. So basically, he wants to try to figure out before, because Zoro just wants to cut him. because he believes they can be enemies. Now, manga readers know that's not the case. But yeah, so this was and yeah, so this is it was definitely interesting what's going on. So obviously this season is a lot of the setup for the big fight that's coming in the manga or the anime. Like the manga's base already reached it. Like this year is gonna be mostly setup, kind of like Zoe. Like I mean, it just is. It's kind of like Zoe, where it was a lot of setup, and in this now you also have on the the giant ship so Brooke cuts Robin's hair to make it look more like it was when she was a kid. And the reason is she wants to look like more like how she did when she was younger when she first met Saul because she's about to meet Saul again. And it gets cut that way. And you have in the end you see this one giant talking about apparently Saul has passed out, like fallen unconscious. So obviously, that's gonna be a thing next episode. So and yeah, Frankie crying or he's saying he's not gonna make he's not gonna make it through like the reunion. And so you have like things like Lilith is like, why are you already crying? And I will say this: when that reunion happens, um, I will say you'll see a bunch of tears in various reaction channels, like you just will, like, and a lot of it will actually be genuine, because but yeah, look, reaction channels a lot. I have opinions of a lot of them, of some of them, but there's the reasons I don't watch reaction channels, and you watch a lot of reactions, very few. Some might watch out of curiosity, but anyway, when that reunion, when the Robin Saul reunion happened, as a manga reader, I will say that there it will get some very genuine reactions from basically everyone who has been watching One Piece. Like, doesn't matter what anyone thinks of each reaction channel. I don't know if there'll be any that's the reactions to the reunion. All of them will be genuine. Almost all of them will actually be genuine because how big of a deal it is. So yeah, I thought it was a very good episode. I really liked how they're introducing the Luffy, well Loki. His dynamic with Luffy and all that. So, and that'll continue to be a thing based on the manga. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. One Piece, Chapter 11A2. So in this chapter, so Loki is in his dragon form while Ragnar is in his squirrel form. So, Emu is smiling. He has some blood on his face. Noticing how he's basically glad he's seen Nidhogger again. He says never to think that he would see, and he calls Nidhogger a traitor, which leads some questions as to like about Nidhogger, like in the Void Century, like whoever that Delphi user was. And then Emu sees snow, and he says, lightning caused by an impact with dice. Thy affinity with one for one another was always great, Ragnar. He says, as thou stayed, so thou stayed as thou were in days past, waiting for a new master to come along. How familiar thy sight is. So it says, so Ragnar is a hammer that was given the squirrel fruit mythical type model ice squirrel Ratatosker. So Ragnar's a hammer given a devil fruit. So kind of looks like the ancient kingdom had the kind of technology that Vegapunk was able to do to put devil fruits inside of objects. So and you see Ragnar saying stuff. So I guess if Ragnar knows who Emu is, Like if that's the same Ragnar as the Void Sentry, that makes things very interesting. Because that leads a lot of implications, like, especially, assuming Chopper, so if Ragnar is a hammer, naturally, then, even if he's in squirrel form, even though he's a hammer, if Chopper's able to interpret what Ragnar says, because, Ragnar's a hammer, the squirrel stuff is just, from a devil fruit, but if Ragnar's speech can be interpreted by Chopper, which I think it can. I think we have an idea of how maybe some of the stuff with the Void Sentry is going to start getting revealed. Like, okay, like I now have I have a prediction now. After Elbaf, the next arc is going to be called Void Sentry. Like now, it is going to be called Void Sentry. It's not going to be Laugh Tale. It's not going to be Mary Joa. It's going to be Void Sentry because of Ragnar. As long as Ragnar stays alive, if Ragnar and Loki stay alive in this arc, and that's the same Ragnar as from the Void Sentry, um, then basically that will like that basically means that you know this squirrel could give so much about the Void Sentry. Now, like as long as Chopper's around to interpret. Now, let's say I'm not saying it means Chopper's gonna die. No, Chopper's not dying. I don't honestly I don't think because there's been discussions about which straw hat if a straw's gonna die, who's it gonna be. Look, most likely if one's gonna die, it's going to be Usopp because of the whole Warrior's death thing. Usopp wants to be a brave warrior to see. He's been drinking Elbaf, so Warrior's death does fit with his um character development. So he is most likely to die. Now, other ones you have Frankie, because his goal is to have the Thousand Sunny reach Laugh-Tale, you know, and he could give his life to let that happen. And kind of like how the Going Merry had a spirit that appeared, the Thousand Sunny could have a spirit, and that could end up resembling Frankie since Frankie helped build it. It'd be kind of like a way for Frankie to stay in if he dies. And of course, Jinbei because if Jinbei he wants to free him for all the fishmen, once and all that discrimination, all that, so he could rally like slaves around the world, you know, given his work with the Sun Pirates, he could slaves around the world, not just fishermen but non-fishermen as well, like could be rallied. You have a bunch of slaves throughout the world. You have Fishman Island. You have your Lost Straw Hats, rallying together around Jinbei's death, and like I mean, like, and Zoro, the only way Zoro would die is if it's right after he defeats Mihawk, like he kills Mihawk, Zoro like becomes the greatest swordsman, then he dies basically shortly after. Like he won, so basically he dead. He basically cements his place as greatest swordsman. Then everyone's like, oh, if could this sword like a feature was like, oh, could this swordsman have beaten Zoro? Now, I don't think that's gonna happen because I think Zoro is gonna have like a Roger Garp esque dynamic with Tashigi. Not like I mean like because I mean kind of like the whole like Navy versus pirate dynamic where they highly respect each other, almost like a friend. Like basically they're almost like friends, but since of their positions, they still have to kind of be enemies because that's what Garp and Roger were. They were friendly with each other, but they still had to fight. And Luffy and Kobe, of course, are going to be like that anyway. So back to this. So as long as Chopper lives, Chopper's dude. If they kill off Chopper, the internet's gonna break. Like that will well, really, if any Straw Hat dies, that will be one of the most trending topics. Anyway, so if Ragnar stays alive, and if that's the same Ragnar as from the Void Century, like based on Emu's words, that seems to be the case. That hints that Chopper could interpret um Ragnar's words, and that could lead to a Void Century flashback. So like basically, and that could be an entire arc, and they could just say that like, you know, next chapter we'll start the Void Century arc. You know, like they could maybe say that like, hey, like I mean, like because you have like your big sometimes you have flashback arcs, which One Piece has never really. I mean, One Piece has a lot of flashbacks. It's never had an arc that's basically where the entire arc has been a flashback. That has never happened. Like the closest thing we got to that was like post-war, where the majority of it was like the Luffy, Ace, and Sabo flashback. But that wasn't the entire arc. It was a large portion of it, basically most of it, but because you also had like basically all the immediate fallout from the you know the Paramount War, Marineford. Like, but with this, like with Chopper translating through Ragnar, you could maybe have like Chopper like in the anime, you could have Chopper be like the narrator, you know. But basically, you would have a whole arc just focused on the Void Century, with the probably flashback to Nika. You know, oh dude, that will be insane, especially when the anime gets because that would be like probably a whole season of like no Straw Hats, like not even Luffy. So yeah, that would be insane. Anyway, so back to this. So you know, Loki shoots another attack at Emu. Emu does like an eclipse attack, and so you see like and Bonnie's watching it happen. Well, at least she sees like the fire and stuff, and Lilith tells her to go back that way. Like so, Bonnie and Lilith they're looking at Sanji, and basically they're looking, and Lilith is wondering who that is that's there. He mentions that you know she mentioned Lilith mentions that whoever that is clearly the superior of the Holy Knights of God, but it's not one of the five elders. And she says in an organization lasted 800 years, and that it makes sense that some power struggles will lead to deeper and deeper darkness, which would mean now before she finishes, Sanji gets up. Bonnie tells him to basically says he's too hurt, but Sanji says he doesn't have a choice. Basically he needs to stop killing him because he's go after killing him because he wants to save all the kids. And he says he doesn't want to let all their fights be for nothing. And Luffy and Usopp have been dreaming about Elbaf, so he's going to keep Elbaf safe. And then he says it's the land of giant, beautiful women. And then you see, uh, Saul and Robin, go to the Owl Library. They see that, you know, Biblo had gotten all the books to a secret room. So there's like a hidden tunnel. And, Saul's now even more confused about Biblo. So it means there is some mystery about Biblo, like who he is. So at the Sea Cloud port, Somers has found another boat, like a giant ship, and he says for the giant kids to be brought to the ship. So you have a lot of the giants recovering, Gerd's, injured, so, Chopper's doing a lot of the, medical work. And yeah, so, and then, and then, so, and yeah, so basically in this, so Goldberg is carrying Zoro, yeah, towards Somers. And, Goldberg's the only member of the new giant pirates that have not been, wounded. And so, and he says, Goldberg said he appreciates Zoro helping out, but and Zoro says, well, Luffy's like a friend's country is my country kind of guy, which, leads to there's a technically could have his flag wave over a bunch of islands. And, and so basically Zoro says they don't deal with the God Knights, they won't be like things will get very out of hand. And Killiam calls Somers, say he summoned the wrong thing, and Somers is like, you didn't. And Killingham's like, yep. What he's basically he summoned what Killingham's afraid of. And Somers is like, you idiot. And Somers is like, all right, what's done is done. We don't have time. And he asks about Gunko. Killingham says he saw her on the way, but she's got to be dead. Summer says, so be it. Emu's body is not meant. He said Emu's body is not meant to withstand the outside. So hinting at confirming the theory that the reason Emu was coughing up blood when he first got the Elbab is that he can't really be outside. And basically Summer says, the strength we need and then the strength we need to destroy are right there. That they can't disappoint Emu. Yeah, they probably don't want to end up like Saturn because they probably know exactly what happened to him. Anyway, so you see Rain, going around, and you see a thing of water, a hand of water, capture a bunch of the giant kids, and so, and then it says everyone's like Killingham says we were born in a place so high it's above all the clouds, water coming down from the sky. It's a mysterious terror. After the people of Didi and Dika, it was the most common boogeyman the wars about. In the lower world, there's a monster called the Ray God that dumps water on top of your head. And she's and peering to the rhythm of the prayers for rain. It's Zaza. So you see looks like a woman. There's like a veil coming over her face, that fit the description that a lot of the spoilers gave. Now, Killingham refers to her as like a sleep dish, so like the type of monster, type of MMA monster. So that leads to a lot of questions about Zaza. You know, and Killingham tells Somers to take him away. Yeah, and, and basically, Zoro sees Sanji. Since he's going to the village, and Goldberg asks if he should turn around. Zoro sees Sanji. He says no, and Zoro tells Sanji, "Get the job done." Sanji says, "Same to you." So it looks like Killingham. Sanji's gonna fight Killingham. Zoro's gonna fight Somers. So yeah, those are gonna be the big fights. So it's gonna okay. So stuff's about to go down, and there's a lot of questions now with Zaza. Like a new character, new mystery that's introduced. So Zaza, the Reign of God. Now, so Skypia hinted at the existence of a lot of gods. You had so like the various gods, like so in One Piece you had the Sun God, Nika. You had the Rain God revealed to be Zaza. Then you had the Forest God, Earth God. So that leads to a lot of questions. So Zaza, why is Zaza so feared? Could you know, you know, like Zaza is called the rain god, like associated with water. So that could be associated with like the earth flood, like the all the flooding going on. And then, of course, could she be associated with like with the sea, because you have water, the sea. Could she be associated with potentially being an antagonist, like because you have the Delphi users can't swim, like basically like so and like so and basically because Delphi users are said to be cursed by the sea, which is considered the mother of nature, and so that leads to some questions. So if you know there's a rain god that's associated with water. So the sea could the rain could cause the sea to rise, like immense rain. Um, so who is this rain goddess? Like, is she associated with the sea? Is like is she the one who cursed the devil fruit users? Did that lead and like is it how involved is that with the mystery of the One Piece? Like, could that hint? Like, could Zaza be an antagonist that's even bigger than Emu? So we could have a new potential like contender for final antagonist. Because look, we have a lot of contenders, and Zaza now could then be another contender. Like, which could be answered because there's possibly that Dragon has her devil fruit, but and if he doesn't, then the man marked by flames does. Whoever the man marked by flames is, there's a lot of theories, but based on some of the scripts of the man marked by flames, like basically having there's storms associated with the man marked by flames, so Zaza could be associated with the man marked by flames. If Zaza is a villain, the man marked by flames could be evil and could be an antagonist, you know, bigger than Emu, bigger than Blackbeard, you know, like basically the final villain, like antagonist could be whoever is causing Delphi users to not be able to swim. And that could be insane. So yeah, I thought it was a very good chapter. There's a lot of mysteries, a lot of lore involved in this. So yeah, I like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kagurabachi Chapter 121. So in this chapter, so you have, obviously Japan's like, people they're fighting like the Mikaboshis were, and yeah, because basically, because the talks have very obviously sidelined the Hiroshima talks, and this shows like the end of that fight. So you have a bunch of a lot of Japan people die. So basically, Shiba gets really injured. His throat gets sliced, but he survives. Everyone else in his party is killed. Like everyone else is his party's killed. So he's like the Shiba's the only survivor. And then basically and so basically the reason Shiba was kept alive was to be a messenger to relay demands and to tell like Japan of his of like the Mikaboshi's you know military superiority. So yeah, so obviously it looks like next chapter, things are about to pick up big in regards to like the war. So like looks like next chapter it's about to be total war. I'm interested to see like also the Seiya War. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Dude, the visuals for how all these all like Shiba's allies get killed are insane. Like, dude, if the anime reaches this, oh, that is gonna be brutal to watch. But yeah, I thought it was a very good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, chapter 91. So in this chapter, so it's continuous fight between Bobo and Kiyoshi, and Bobo's powers like increased a lot, and he does a big attack on Kiyoshi, and like really hurts him. So they're doing all these attacks, and Bobo is basically probably like near death from whatever like stuff he's done, and so and Bobo beats Kiyoshi, like knocks him out, and then you see Hitsugi wondering how Kiyoshi could lose. He calls him the ultimate exorcist and tells him to wake up. And you see like Kiyoshi start being healed, and you see some of the demon, like some of his demon friends, like Yamada, some of his friends like healing him. And so it looks like Kiyoshi's getting healed by all these lower level demons to try to like get enough strength to defeat Bobo. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. You see like all these lower level demons like helping Kiyoshi in order to help him beat Bobo. So it looks like the whole peace between humans and demons that Bobo's mother was wanting is now actually happening, and so that could really affect how like Bobo's resolve like in future chapters of this fight. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. The visuals for the clashes between Kiyoshi and Bobo were awesome. So yeah, I like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi the Witch, chapter 81. So in this chapter you have so you have all these like you have Amadoro and all her people like attacking the Matinal Witches Association or to find Ichi. So the Magic Keepers are there going to fight Amadoro. Now Amadoro the Bullet Witch leads the Ribbon Candy family, and basically so the Magic Keepers say if they want to do their they need money gold to grant the Magic Keepers access to the entirety of HQ, and basically it's because they don't know where Amadoro is at. Then Amadoro says, "Oh, that won't be necessary," and then Amadoro arrives holding like a machine gun. Yeah, and so and Ichi starts sensing bloodlust from Amadoro, rushes forward to attack Amadoro. But yeah, so Minakata stops him, saying that hey, he needs to work on his habit of reacting to bloodlust. And so Minakata says to watch him, learn how to fight other witches. So it's like the fight between Minakata and Amadoro is going to start next week. So yeah, that should be a cool fight. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Liked how like you they showed off some of Amadoro's magic. It's gun magic. So we'll see how that goes. Like we'll see how magic keepers are like power wise compared to the witches. That should be cool. See, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Spy Family, chapter 134. So in this chapter, Yuri's washing his hands because of the fist bump he shared with Lloyd. So he's mad. So and then you have like his sub, lieutenant saying man, that must really suck for that guy to have you as a brother-in-law. And then oh yeah. So then one of the other officers asked to you know ask if all your SSS officers are free, and then and then so basically the director wants to go, but the guys directors are invited. And then Yuri asked for the captain, so like the captain joined, and remember his face. I will say that. So the captain, the guy with the scar, who like is getting on to Yuri about you know his concern with Lloyd. So it's funny. So and then see Anya. So back in the forger like apartment, Anya leaves to hang out with Becky. So it looks like it's the same time as like the previous chapter. Then Yor's leaving, and well, it's a shame you got to work on weekend. So yeah, so then well, he's thinking how he has a day off, so he looks at Bond saying they haven't trained in a while, so but Bond's like I guess doesn't want to do anything, and Lloyd's thinking I guess he'll catch him on paperwork, and then Yuri busts in, saying he's here for this have your and Lloyd's like oh you went to work, and Yuri's like oh I can't get to be you and me then. Lloyd's like what? So Yuri guides Lloyd to the party with all the SS officers, and Lloyd's like actually concerned when he sees all of them there. So you have thinks her name's Captain Nicholson from Lieutenant O'Connor, Lieutenant Peters, and so he realizes it's a party of SSS officers. So he's concerned that he maybe Yuri figured out like Lloyd's trying to show a brave face, but he's actually concerned. And Lloyd's like, "Is it okay for me outside, like me being here?" And he wonders if he did something to arouse suspicion at the TV station. And he's thinking he only did the amateur level stuff, and he stayed away from all the cameras. And he wonders like if he should make a quick exit, but if he does, it could raise suspicion. So the guy said so the Captain Chadwick Curtis, so like says, "Oh, you're Yuri's brother-in-law." Now he introduces as Chad introduced himself as Ministry of Commerce, and Chloe introduced herself, and you have Chad and Chloe are thinking who brings their sister's husband to a party, and so Yuri, so basically it's revealed that Yuri had wanted his fellow officers to determine if Lloyd's actually worthy of being Yor's husband, and so and then Chad and Chloe's like, all right, we'll see how good of a man Lloyd is. And then so the agents who are drunk are like thinking that this to help Yuri like emotionally detach from his sister, and they're thinking, oh, this could be fun. So they're drunk. Why a bunch of agents get drunk around, I guess, outside? I don't know. I feel like you don't because you could risk spilling some secrets because SSS officers probably have a lot of dirt on people. And Lloyd's thinking they're all targeting him. And yeah, so basically they just ask him some questions about like like about his work, about his life, and like Lloyd's thinking about how they answer it to not screw the. And it's funny. So Chloe asked about like his like his height, and Lloyd's thinking it could be, or was he trying to film for a coffin? Like Lloyd's actually thinking, I was like, holy crap, is that? He's like, has yours been influencing him that much? And and Chloe's like just at like just to rip pull the bait. She asks what he does like for a job. He says psychiatrist, and she asks what his yearly salary is, and all the other mailers are like, oh dang, she's just going right in. And Lloyd's like, well, it might be the same as what you guys make. And like Chad asks, hey, do you ever take your shopping or out to eat? And Lloyd's like, oh yeah. And then yeah. And then basically he said, he asked him, Chad mentions a restaurant, a French restaurant that they've, you know, that exists. So Lloyd says, he and you have been there twice, and he thinks, it's a, I guess he thinks it's a perfect place for when SS officers are making alibis. And he asks, hey, where did you and your meet? What do you do for anniversaries? And he says, hey, and Chad says when he and his wife fight, he tends to shut up. He asks what he does, like, what does he do? And then yeah, and and then the guy's like, man, you guys really beat around the bush. And he's like, the guy says, all right, I just have one question. Do you love your wife? And Lloyd says yes. And the guy look at it says, yeah, not a single hand deception. And then they're like, oh yeah, yeah, we were just trying. Yuri asked. They tell Lloyd that Yuri asked him to make sure that that he was a good enough guy for Yor. And Lloyd's like, oh, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. And then so they start having more, I guess, casual conversations. And Chloe says, if only Yor was here, they could have learned more. And Yuri says, that Yuri says he called Yor and that she'll come by after work. And then you know, so Chad's pointing at his scar, and Lloyd's looking at Curtis' face, and he's like, he remembers he used Curtis's that face as disguise when he was investigating Yor. And so basically he did because he wanted to impersonate someone close to Yuri in order to get a reaction out of Yor. And he's concerned now that could come back to haunt him. Just sort of, if you were to expose Curtis as an SS officer, it would basically make him suspicious of anyone who's around her. Now he thinks it's not likely she remembers. He doesn't want to risk it. And then you hear, like, I guess someone knocking at the door, ring the doorbell, whatever. And Lloyd asks for a bathroom, and then there's concern, the doorbell rings. Lloyd's concerned that Yor's at the door, and Yuri's excited. So yeah. Oh, that's funny. Just his reaction being all these SSS officers. And yeah, Rosen now, like, there's a chance York could actually beat the actual agent that Lloyd was impersonating. Oh crap, that's going to be insane. I mean, odds are, I mean, most people probably suspect what's going to happen is York's just going to get drunk very quickly, and it's not gonna be a problem. Like, depending on what all your remembers, like, because she's had blackouts before, but we'll see what happens. Oh man, I thought it was a good chapter. It was just freaking hilarious seeing Lloyd's reaction to all the questions, whatever. Cause we've seen him overthink stuff, and it's so funny. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Under Doctor, chapter 15. So in this chapter, so Haiji, basically is like going out of the country to Russia to do like do a follow up on surgery, and basically Chiwa now has a day off after she finished like the paperwork. So she did 2 days of work in one day, so she has a day off. Basically, it's been her first day off in 3 months, so she's gonna enjoy it while she can. So she goes to different shopping malls, and so she really likes shopping malls. Like she goes to a movie, eats at the food court, um, yeah, basically tries on different clothes, and so and she does like some karaoke, and then she remembers like her some of her past like I guess when she was learning how to be like a ninja or whatever, and then yeah, and she remembers how she went you know how she remembers when she went to a regular school, but only so she could observe. So basic cover, I guess how Under Ninja did some stuff, and when she started working for and then she remembers when she started working under Hygie, surveillance on her like loosened, and yeah, so she's glad to be working under Hygie. Yeah, so and she's thinking about how some of the stuff she bought she won't even have get a chance to wear, and so she starts heading towards the movie theater to watch something, and then she comes across a lost kid, and then she wants to take the kid to the lost kid desk, and then and so she like helps and she guides the kid to his mother. And yeah, the kid gives her like some Picoton, like 'cause that's she was trying to see Picoton 3, but she couldn't because of time. She like basically gives some Picoton like merch or whatever. And so she wants so then she looks like she has a chance to go to a 7 o'clock showing. And so you see a guy like trying to set a bomb to blow up the mall, and Chua like is pissed because he's trying to blow up a mall. He doesn't really like she really likes shopping malls, so she like beats the guy up, and I guess she goes to the movie, and so she gets back to work. Yeah, and that's it. So it's basically relatively standalone. It's just like I guess Chua. It's just Chua doing having their day off. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. You know, Haiji's like obviously the main point of view character for obvious reasons. We've gotten hints about some of Chiwa's past, but we got some more. Basically, she was raised by I guess a very strict ninja household. So I don't know if that tease is gonna play a role in future chapters, depending on how long this manga is. If it's like if this becomes a long form manga, that hint tease could hint at like a future antagonist. But yeah, I thought this was a good chapter. You know, like I thought it was freaking funny. how seeing Chiwa handle her day off. So yeah, that was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kinato's Magic, chapter 14. So this chapter, so Jien takes Kinato to the Maho clan, and it turns out, all the people there hate Jien, and now everyone else was scared, and so like the Maho clan, like basically they hate and yeah, and like like they hate Jien basically, like so they like try to attack them. So the clan tries to attack them. Then when they get there, they're captured. And basically, it's explained that Jien was there previously. It said he was going to train, but he was just doing nothing. And basically, that Jien would have been executed if the chief wasn't merciful. And so, and when and so basically, the so Karyu, who's like the Sky Dragon captain of the East Guard, says that they could just go home. And Kanto asked if there's any stiffness in her shoulders, and yeah, and then the other ones like are laughing, saying what is like Karyu's always in tip top shape. And she was saying like, and Kanto saying, maybe you can help out with that, and Karyu's like, help me, you, why don't you try it? And then Kanto does his Seite magic to realign her pelvis, and and she like feels really good, like, and how she and basically I guess like her body feels lighter now. So it looks like she's now interested in Kanto's magic. It looks like she's going to accept him as a student. Looks like it. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, I thought it was a interesting chapter. So it was like we're getting some insights to some of GN's past. The Maho clan could be an interesting group. Maybe help explore. Help deal with Kanto control his magic more. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Alien Headbutt, chapter 13. So in this chapter, so Shirokiba and Mei, they plan their breakout, and then yeah, so and then basically they attack the guy with the spikes, and then so yeah, and it looks and they've done some transformations where they in some of I guess they got some new forms. So they try to escape, and it's revealed that basically their abilities had evolved, you know, and that's why they got their transformations. Yeah, so and then he thinks he's gonna get more of those tentacles inside implants inside of him, and if he starts to feel like he's gonna go berserk, he says he'll kill himself on the spot. And so Needle Boy, that's what Shirokiba calls him. They so Shirokiba may attack Needle Boy, and then basically they attack him, and then like they're able to like beat him up. Yeah, so and then May says he doesn't understand pain, so she says 1,000 headbutts should do the trick. And then so May starts doing a bunch of headbutts. And like so basically turns and you see a bunch of blood on the ground. Basically he had died after 847 headbutts. yeah, so then someone else like escapes, and and yeah, finally, so May tells Saito that she really needs to pee, and so then it looks like I guess Shiroki was gonna fight this other guy while May pees, I guess. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Do the visuals for how they fought Needle Boy, dude, it's brutal. Like how he dies, like that is brutal. And I thought it was funny seeing Shiroki and May's like interactions. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Rooster Fighter, episode 9. So in this episode, so Elizabeth gets some tech from like her former owner, a human who I guess is able to speak Chickanese, as the language is called. And so and so Keiji, Keisuke, and Pyoko are trying to find, you know, they fight this, they fight this demon, and then they're able to free this demon from like control over well, from this creature. And basically, the guy says, that basically was controlled, and like they're concerned about like so to explain that's what happened to like and like it looks like you know why some good demons have like a turn started rampaging is where these creatures are. So that explains how Moria was able to turn bad was basically like being like he like and yeah so like Moria was turned like basically messed up. So yeah, and then during the fight, Elizabeth returns saying she went using the text say, hey, let's free the demons instead of like in from the villains instead of just kill them. And so they need to get inside of like one of the you know like get inside of like a Morio's head in order to basically free him from the and Pyoka's the only thing smaller to get inside, so she takes a needle with her to get inside, but so yeah, so then they um like so Pyoko's like are stabbing the creature, and but she gets stabbed by one of that creature's like tentacles, whatever, and you see it looks like her eyes turn like purplish pink, whatever. Feels like she's gonna lock some powers, whatever. Like, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens to her. So yeah, like see what happens next week with like what happens to Pyoko. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Like that was freaking funny. See, like I mean, it's just like the human talking in chicken language was just hilarious, and you see like all the stuff going on. Like so, yeah, and it was cool seeing all the fights, and it was like we'll gain some character development for Pyoko. So yeah, it'll be interesting what happens next week. So yeah, that was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Digimon Beatbreak episode 30. So in this episode, so Glowing Dawn is asked to help deal with like an attack on on the Kuonji family. So basically, Makoto is like the heir to like the family business. Um, allegedly now his now like his twin Makoto's twin brother Sakasha is in like the hospital. Basically, Makoto's been estranged from family because of Chiratmon. Like basically, so you know Makoto's father did not want Makoto having a Digimon. He wanted Makoto to like focus on like guess taking over the family business, whatever. And then there's like they learn the Golden Dawn learns about Gift for the first time. That at least they learned the name, so definitely shows yeah, so going on. So basically then So then every like the fight happens, and then yeah, and then like so what's definitely interesting. So you see like so Gift is definitely involved with the Kojis, then Gift like attacks whatever. So and Makoto like and Chiramon they're able to defeat their like the attackers. And it's real that Koji was involved with what happened with the attack. And so yeah. So then it looks like one of the ministry people go like Mr. Koji and say, "We got some questions for you." So yeah, it's definitely like so. It's definitely some questions about who is Gift, what is going on, like what is all their motives. So yeah, so and dude, it was brutal. Like so, Mako's father was about to like kill Trotmon, and Mako and Tsukasa were able to reconcile. So it was real. Tsukasa had told Mr. Koji about Trotmon, and he kind but Tsukasa kind of let was able to open the little like window door or whatever so that Low Dog could enter this room during the fight. And dude, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens like next week with like whatever's going on glowing like with Gift. Like, dude, it's gonna be interesting how it affects like also with the ministry because there's a lot of questions with that. But yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Duck Dynasty: The Revival, Season 2, Episode 10, and full season and full series. So, Sadie's about to give birth. So, her baby shower is about to happen. Sai, some reason he has, so for his bucket list, Sai, one of the things Sai's bucket list is to go to a baby shower because he just wants to see what actually happens there. And he actually goes through effort trying to find a gift. So, and he ends up making like a baby care kit for Sadie. Like he actually put fortunately and go into a store, find something, then he makes it. So what's actually something I think it was like a duck calls part of it. You have a lot of diapers. Apparently, he's like the only one to actually buy diapers, which is actually surprising because you would think that'd be one of the most important things to buy. And so and it's just funny. So you see, apparently Sadie tells Kay, that they're she and Christian are naming the baby Kit Caraway Huff. So Caraway being named being they said they're naming at least for the milk they're naming her the baby after Miss K. Miss K is very happy about that, and so and Sadie's like stressed out because she has to deal with like maternity leave. Christian's like out of town in Texas. I'll get to that in a little bit, and so and based stuff with like her podcast with like some conference coming up, like and yeah, so and where she's got to store some stuff. So, but then things seem to go well there now as far as Christian being out of town. So basically, Christian and Jacob, there, Willie took them to like took them to Texas for like a hunting trip. To like basically it's like a simple like last little test thing in order to like see if they're able to become duckmen or buckmen. So they do all the different challenges like hunt whatever, and so and basically the and you have shooting, geek competition, shooting like skeets whatever, and then of course shooting deer. To be a buckman makes sense. You should probably guess know how to shoot a buck. So, and John Luke's there as well. John Luke shoots a deer. Then Jacob gets one. Christian struggles because, he didn't really grow up hunting. So, I guess was kind of short, but he's able to do it. He like so then during like the meal where once everyone gets back, they decide, Willie's like, well, you're somewhat possibly considered to be Buckman. Everyone's like, make a freaking decision. Like, don't. And then, Willie does like the whole kind of like how Phil would do like with the thumbs up. He oscillates and he does thumbs up. And so everyone celebrates that, Christian and Jacob are now Buckman and Duckman. They're actually, you know, able to get jobs at, Duck Commander. So they're happy about that. And then, at the end, Sadie gives birth to Kit. Well, it's actually funny. So when Sai makes a little baby care kit, whatever, Say comments that Sai accidentally got the baby's name on the gift name. I was like, huh. I don't think Sai intended that, but that's actually funny. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Honestly, one of the things throughout this like these two scenes was Sadie's pregnancy. So it makes sense you'll end one of the seasons, I guess, with like season one ended with the gender reveal, and ironically it was like here that day before whatever, Sadie would like end up giving birth to the girl in real life. Now in the show, they ended the season with the baby being born, and so basically, so yeah, I overall thought it was a I thought it was a good like I would say I liked this season more than season one because you had Sai and Jace got more involvement, so it brought back a lot of the dynamics from the original Duck Dynasty show. So a lot of like the banter between Jace and Willie came back. That I mean, 'cause that was one of the reasons why the show was like the original show was very popular was you had the dynamic between Jace and Willie, then you had Sai being Sai, you know it brought a lot in. It was basically always freaking funny. So yeah, a lot of there's a lot of funny humor in this season. Like so, I did like some of the prior episodes of this season. I was not expecting to be so many dick jokes. I was busting laughing there a lot of that. How like they had to censor the word balls in that context. While I was like, okay, you could say penis, you could probably say dick, but you can't say balls. Like that is like the cleanest way to say it. Like that's like one of the cleanest ways to say it. Like that bit was always funny. And of course, the Phil tribute, and with the funeral episode in the season one through that was a hard one to watch. Yeah, I thought it was a really good season. As far as this show, I've enjoyed it. But it's not the level of the original Duck Dynasty show. I wasn't really expecting that, but it's still a pretty good show. Like you had, I mean, because the family hasn't really, personality wise, hasn't really changed much, if any. A lot of just they've gotten older. Some of the kids from most of the kids from the original show have kids of their own, and basically all the kids from the original show are buried. Now, so you see a lot of them older, and like it's funny like it's Willie becoming more like Jace as he's getting not as active and like with working Duck Commander because he's like semi-retired, whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a overall thought it was a really good show. Hopefully we get a season three, but if not, it's fine. It's a good ending point. Roku's House of Oddities, Chapter 5. So in this chapter, this primarily focuses on Roku trying to get to know Kabenji. So that's the one, the mask, you know, and basically like so with like the Yin Yang mask, and basically Kabenji reveals himself to be like a like a war spirit, not a locational spirit like Sachiko. You know, yeah. So and basically, Roku's wondering what war is Kabenji a curse for, and apparently there's like a seven war curses in the world. But and Kabenji doesn't remember like what war. Like all he remembers that he's a war curse. He doesn't know what war he's associated with. Then police start questioning him. Like, or I guess because he looks suspicious with the mask on. And then yeah, and he Kabenji says he's picking things up for dinner. And so Rook said, "Hey, just because he looks suspicious doesn't mean to judge. Don't judge him on his appearance." Then like some stuff. So you have a runaway car. Basically, the brakes aren't working, and so Kabenji takes the cops' guns. They'll just shoot the car, or whatever, in order to stop it. And basically, and Kabenji throws these two guys or to like act as cushions for the guy, so he doesn't like die, whatever. And then the street starts flying and hits like a baby carriage, and the baby starts flying, and Kabenji catches the baby, and then yeah, and Kabenji says, peace is a wonderful thing, and then right in front there's like a flash show about to begin, and you have a lot of customers getting like tense, or whatever. Because I guess like it's like how like with Black Friday sales, how those are stereotypically like get very tense. We all know how South Park portrayed Black Friday. Still one of the funniest parodies they ever did. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter, interesting. Looks like you're getting some chapters focus on individual curses, and I guess gradually we'll learn more about them. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Interesting to learn more about this whole war curse thing. Looking forward to the next chapter. Wistoria, Wand and Sword, Season 2, Episode 5. So in this episode, so everyone's recovering from the attack. So Paulette has flowers. He's gonna, I guess, get for like, I guess for like Rosty's body whenever Rosty gets buried. She's gonna, I guess, lay flowers at the grave whenever a grave gets installed. And graduation's coming up, so you know, Workner like recovers, so he's alive. There's a funny scene where like two of the field mages who he's friends with, I guess, are fighting over him. That's kind of funny. And then Will, like he gets back his normal hair color, and so basically so looks like that Finn is wants to like take charge and training Will, because like he's like the fulfillment of I guess the vow or prophecy of the Mage Queen, whatever. So yeah, and then basically and so a lot of Maggie and Vander are talking about this now. Elfie is of course not there. She's like she claims to have a stomach, but she's focused on Will, and so everyone's sad about Rossi being dead, and you have so one thing that's interesting is how so for the Maggie and Vander you have so like you have like yeah like like the main one, like the leading one. He's I'm wondering where the heck has this guy like Aaron, like Aaron Masteria's old Kane. He's wondering where has this guy been? Like, and he's pissed because like the basically the headmistress has been basically hiding thing, like gets hiding Will from him. And seems like the headmistress was aware of, I guess, whatever was going on with the Mage Queen. It looks like Aaron's now aware of that too, that Will is associated with that. Like that leads to a lot of questions right now. Like, what's the whole deal with like Will? Like, obviously there's something with him, like from 500 years ago. Like he's fulfillment of something valid by like the unity of wand and sword. Like, I have my guess as to what it is. Like, I don't know how far the manga's gone as far as getting into that. And then, yeah, so, and then, yeah, so you see like how all the, you know, the, all the characters trying to deal with this. So graduation, people are still mourning like the deaths of a lot of people. So you have, you know, everyone attends, Will attends, and they announce everyone, who's been announced as ascending for the tower. And you had so Will's partner, so from like the for like so Will's like out like for like so Colette, Sion, um like Julius, Wigdal, and Liana. They've of course been announced to be staying the tower. And then each, and so they're gonna join like whichever each different factions were. And then Headmistress, Cauldron announces that there's 40, so there's 49 total that have currently announced as ascending the tower. They have got enough credits to do that, where you get some amount of credits or create your own spell. Cauldron says, you know, Cauldron says, there'll be a 50th one, and she says, announces Will's name. That Will's magic, courage, she says fulfills that, you know, require that second requirement. So Will's allowed to ascend the tower, and everyone's shocked about it. Basically Edward is not happy. She's like, he's like, don't, he's like, he doesn't want a Will to get to the tower and basically be disappointed like by his by failure. Because basically Edward, I guess, like he had done that. He had failed to become a Magi Vander. I guess he didn't want Will to feel the same regret, and that's why he's been so like concerned with like stopping Will's dream as soon as possible to like contain, I guess, the disappointment of if he failed. So it seems like Edward was trying to like he does care about Will. He just not great at showing it. I mean, he does dark magic, so it's not that surprising. And so now, question is, does Edward and Worker? Question: does Edward Worker know about the whole deal with the Mage Queen's vow, whatever? Cauldron seems to know because she knows Finn, and Finn's interested in training him. So, and then yeah, so and it looks like it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. So we'll see what happens with with all that, like, and you have and you have Rusty looking up at the tower saying that he's gonna look at like I guess watching over Will. Now, one thing that's been heavily implied is that Rusty is a um like a basically a doll or clone whatever of Elfie that's made to look like a dude, and basically just watches over Will. That's a little creepy, kind of, because that means Elfie had seen Will naked. It's definitely a little weird. Like, what the heck is this high-powered mage doing? And then yeah, so yeah, we'll see what happens in the next episode because obviously it looks like also the academy's done. Now it gets down to what the whole deal at the tower. So Will's now able to go into the tower. So overall, I actually like this episode. Like, yeah, so once the whole attack started, like the show, like I would say, significantly, like once you had like the show, I would say significantly improved. Like the whole battle stuff started going on, like that, like there was some significant improvement in the quality of the show. Like you didn't have like Will just simping over Elfie the whole time. You had him like looks like now we're gonna get some focus on him, like actually learning how to do like you like probably learning how to use Whis, learning how to control that power or whatever, like be able to I guess activate it, and will like at will, you know, no pun intended. Like learn more about Whis and like because I mean I have a guess of what like like I have a guess as to what the whole deal with like I have a whole guess as to what the whole deal with the like why he's important. Like I have a guess. Like my guess is that like if I had to guess, it's probably something like I don't know, maybe like the Magia Vander are so like like the like the Magia Vander are like out like so and then like and so like I don't know if the Maya is supposed to like let's say whenever the I guess the barrier breaks whenever something happens like I guess the heavenly invaders are supposed to come back and probably I guess Will's supposed to defeat them using the power of the Magia Vander by absorbing like their magic. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Like finally, like because it's a show that had a lot of hype. The first season was mid, and then like probably like the base like the first like few episodes, 2 episodes of this season were mid as well. But you saw potential. Like I saw potential. I was like, all right, I'll keep going, see if it improves, and there's been improvement. And I hope that the it continues to keep that improvement. Have it focus on him learning how to use Whis, fighting these villains, where these like maid slayers are. You have also the heavily invaders. I hope it just doesn't become him simping over Elfie. Like that's like you can't really get a whole show out of that. Like I don't think it's good. I don't think that's a good way to get a whole show. Like for longevity, like you need more than that to actually, I guess, stay good. And that should be basically a very secondary plot point. Um, But yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Class 2B Hero Destroyerz, Chapter 3. So in this chapter, yeah. So basically, you have all these like vines that were growing from the bathroom all around the school. You see all these monsters start coming in. So it looks like the mortal world and the demon king's world are starting to, I guess, merge a little bit, or at least have some crossover. So you have, the hero appears and like it attacks like two like the gym teachers, and then like all the students are free like what's going on. So you see a big explosion. So he's like, hero looks like someone dropped a medal, and he basically claims it as a trophy. And he went to the school because he followed the oracle's prophecy. And yeah, and it was like he reveals his name. His name is Gimsung, the Flame of Olia. And then yeah, so of course you had the like you have the Demon King of course has appeared, and it's so freaking funny. So Valeris like arrives, and then like he looks like he's challenging about to challenge the hero, but then Kumon appears. Basically, he's trying to find a place to take a dump, and there's like and like but like basically so he made it to a stall, but the vines came through and knocked the toy out the window and knocked and carried him out the window. So he's trying to find so he's supposed to take a dump. So like Kumon's supposed to take a dump. So like he's like pissed off. So basically he's worried how everyone is looking at the windows, what's going on. And then Valeria says if he doesn't do anything, the school's going to get pulled to this other world. And then so now and he asked Kumon to lend him his power. He wants to explore the potential evil known as humanity. And then yeah, so Kumon says he wants to live a normal life, but it looks like it's gonna be pretty hard. And he's like and he's thinking that he has to so hard. You didn't think it'd be so hard that you have to tune the Demon King to have a normal life. And he asks Valeria to draw the hero's attention while he reaches the toilet. And you see Valeria launching some attacks at the hero. Yeah, and then Umon hits a bat, like swings a bat at the hero's head, and he says, he doesn't. Kumon says he doesn't care if guy's a hero, Black Beast, or whoever. Says the gate's sacred, the gate's threshold up to the bowels of his personal realm, and he says none shall pass. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, guy has to take a crap that bad? Like, holy crap, that's insane. Like, I was freaking laughing. Like, dude, the guy just like gets really strong just because he has to hold in his poop. Like what the heck? But yeah, I thought it's still funny. Yeah, I thought it was a good chapter and just seeing more about the hero, whatever. Looking forward to the next one. Mortal Kombat 2. So this is a new movie that released this weekend. Sequel to the one from 2021. So this starts out, the prologue. Shao Kahn kills King Gerard of Indinia in Mortal Kombat, taking over Indinia in the name of Outworld. And he takes, Queen Sidel as his consort and Kitana as his daughter. Now, years later, so the 10th Mortal Kombat tournament's about to start. So yeah, so basically the tournament that from the first movie that wasn't able to happen looks like it happens in this movie. So Quan Chi revives Kun Lao and Kano. Now he corrupts Kun Lao, but for Kano, since Kano's so corrupt already, he can't really corrupt him anymore. So Kano's not a revenant, so he's kind of has free will, whatever. Now in Earthrealm, um, Raiden and Sonya Blade, they approached Johnny Cage. Now Johnny Cage was like, Khan. No one, he's like a old like washed up actor. No one approached his booth, whatever. And now one of the things in Johnny Cash's backstory, like while he's generally portrayed as younger, he's like a little like I mean I don't know how old he's supposed to be in this movie, but like he's really a little younger, I guess, than Carl Urban is. But basically like so he is basically like an actor who's like past his prime in the sense of like not really a star anymore. That is kind of like part of Johnny Cage's past in like generally in the games and most like adaptations. So Rain and Sonya recruit. They get Johnny to follow them to to Rain's temple to train. When Johnny learns about that, basically that you know that people can actually die in the fight in the tournament, he's like, I'm out. He says he wants to like just drink what he can before the world ends. And so now the tournament begins. So first two fights happen. You have Sonya fighting Sindel. Now Sindel was like basically been corrupted. Shao Kahn had some stuff done to her, and also Johnny's teleported to fight Kitana. Now Sonya is able to kill Sindel. There's like a bunch of spikes coming out of the ground. Sonya's able to use that to her advantage. She shoots like a hole with her Arcana attack, whatever, through Sindel's chest. But then, while using Sindel's injury, she's able to like have a spike go through Sindel's head, killing her. Kitana defeats Johnny and decides to spare him, despite Shao Kahn ordering her to kill him. And Kitana there uses like some crystal to go to Raiden's temple. Basically revealed that she's been a spy for Raiden. Now Jade confronts her. Jade is Kitana's bodyguard. Jade confronts Kitana about betraying Shao Kahn. And now Quan Chi retrieves a Shinnok's amulet from Kano. Yeah, somehow Kano got Shinnok's amulet, I guess, at some point. Somehow that never came up in the first movie. So, and then, yeah, so what happens? So Quan Chi and then, Kun Lao, they attack the temple. Kun Lao slices Raiden's neck, which severely injures him, and Quan Chi's able to absorb Raiden's power into the amulet. So Raiden's heavily injured. And Quan Chi binds the amulet to Shao Kahn, which basically makes him immortal. And so now when the second round starts, Liu Kang fights Kun Lao while uh Cole Young, the protagonist from the first movie, fights Shao Kahn. So basically, so Liu Kang tries to redeem Kun Lao, but Kun Lao's a revenant, so there's really nothing he can do. So Liu Kang has to kill Kun Lao, but he promises that he'll free him. And now the other fight going on, third fight, you have Jax fighting Jade. You know, Jax defeats Jade, but it spares her and he says it's to repay what Kitana did for Johnny. And Cole fights Shao Kahn. He's able to like basically do a mortal wound on him, but due to like the amulet, Shao Kahn heals instantly, and Shao Kahn like basically knocks Cole to the ground, and he swings his hammer and crushes Cole's head and kills him. So Cole's not in this movie a lot. I mean, they don't really give good amount of screen time really to any of the characters. It's actually something the first movie does better. Now, since Shao Kahn's amulet, they can't ever defeat him. So Liu Kang, Jack, Sonya, and Johnny go to the home of the Tarkatans to like in order to basically Katana tells them that the Tarkatans like there's a tunnel there that could lead to where the amulet's at. So they have to go to Tarkatans. They try to get Baraka to help, and Liu Kang challenges Baraka to a fight in order to get his help. Baraka refuses, and then Johnny decides to call Baraka a pussy, and that basically gets Baraka. And Baraka says he'll fight Johnny, and so Johnny like runs, but then like Sonya tells him to basically do what he does as an actor, like as far as fight moves goes, and that actually allows Johnny to be able to beat Baraka. So you see him doing a lot of like the his fight moves from the game. So you see he puts the glass on, he's like, it's showtime. And then there's a lot of moves. Of course, punching Baraka in the balls, doing the whole flicking them off there. And he's able to beat Baraka. Baraka basically like somewhat becomes like Johnny's apprentice, whatever. And so Baraka guides him to a hidden entrance, but that's as far as Baraka can go since they're not allowed in the palace. So Kitana is captured by Jade and some guards and taken to Shao Kahn. Now Liu Kang, Jack, Sonya, and Johnny they infiltrate the castle, try to get the amulet. Shao Kahn kills Jax, and Liu Kang and Sonya are taken away for the next round. And so so then Kano, who prefers Earthrealm over Outworld, he turns against Shao Kahn and just tells now Bihan was resurrected as a revenant. He's Noob Saibot, whatever. And he takes the amulet to Netherrealm, and Kano tells Johnny that. And Kano and Johnny return to Raiden. Raiden uses what little power he has left to send Kano and Johnny to the Netherrealm. And sends them to Scorpion, who would like guide them to where Noob Saibot's at. And then during like during the fight, so Kitana, who's technically one of the two Outworld competitors, is like chained up. So basically, it's just Shao Kahn fighting Sonya Blade and Liu Kang. Sonya's knocked to the ground. She's injured. Liu Kang fights Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn wounds Liu Kang, and Liu Kang sees that he's not the chosen one. Whatever. There's not really been a chosen one prophecy even discussed. I mean, that was more so like Battle of the Realms, really, that really dealt with like a chosen one prophecy, whatever. So Liu Kang evaporates into fire. So he's seemingly dead, and he says he'll save the fallen. And Sonya's able to use her power to free Kitana, and but she's knocked out. So technically the tournament's over, but then Kitana says that she's switching allegiances to Earthrealm. So the tank that gives her one more champion, so it's a one-on-one fight. Now, okay, here's one question I have. Like with what I do know about Mortal Kombat, can a fighter actually formally switch allegiances like that? Like, is that an actual thing that's allowed? Like, I don't recall that ever happening. Anyway, so now while their Kitana and Shao Kahn's fights going on, uh, Johnny, Kano, and Scorpion they fight Noob Saibot, his like little like replicas or whatever. and then Jade arrives so Jade was sent there by Shang Tsung to like stop Johnny, Kano, and Scorpion, but she decides to help them destroy to fight Noob Saibot, while Shang Tsung goes to Rain's Temple to kill Raiden. And Johnny, he finally awakens his Arcana powers, and basically the four fires are able to defeat Noob Saibot and destroy the amulet, and that takes away Shao Kahn's immortality. It restores Raiden's power. So Kitana was able to get like a wound in, and so since the amulet's destroyed, the blood stays flowing. So Kitana unmasks Shao Kahn and then kills him. Basically takes her place as queen, you know, of Edenia. Now, whether or not she's actually in charge of Outworld, I don't know. I don't know if she's gonna be like queen of both Edenia and Outworld, or I don't know if they're gonna do the whole Kublai Khan, which like the Khan from like Kotal Khan, I think was his name, from Mortal Kombat 10 and 11. So so in Mortal Kombat 10 and 11, Kotal Khan becomes King of Outworld after the death of Shao Kahn. Like there's like some basically like there was some in disputes over who was in charge. Basically after stuff happens, Kotal Khan takes over. So yeah. And he's like supposed to like a more honorable king compared to like Shao Kahn. And so yeah, then so Katana's definitely at least Queen of Edenia. She could be Outworld as well. Depends on what all they're gonna do with that. And so Raiden, now full power, basically forces Shang Tsung to retreat. And then later Johnny tells Baraka the Tarkatans kind of like a very embellished story recap of Mortal Kombat 2 with him as more central character. And so Sonya, Raiden, Jade, Kitana, Kano, and Baraka. Well, Kano arrive. So Kano has captured Quan Chi. The idea is they all need to revive fight their fallen allies. So yeah, and it's like that. If there's a third one, you know, then that's what it'll cover. Which a lot depends, I guess, if this one makes profit. And now, of course, the question becomes who's gonna be. So Shao Kahn's dead. So I mean, you have Shang Tsung still alive, so obviously he could be the main villain. You know, I don't know. Sindel could be a villain as well, based on she was revived. She was revived as like a revenant or whatever. So Sindel could then be a villain. Quan Chi. And basically, you have Quan Chi. You could have Shinnok, because obviously Shinnok's like one of the big bads. You have Onaga, who hasn't really been brought up a lot. Like so, so basically, as Onaga was like the ruler, and in the lore, Onaga ruled Outworld before you know Shao Kahn. And he was in Mortal Kombat Deception. I think he was in he was in you know Ar- he was in, I believe he was in Armageddon was the other he was also in, you know basically, because there's also you have Onaga, he could come back. You have Shang Tsung, of course you have Shinnok. Who knows how they're gonna handle the third one? Because generally a lot of time, well, this series hasn't necessarily, you could say, adapted Mortal Kombat's 1, 2, and 3. But generally, a lot of times when you get past the first three games, things get a little complicated as far as like things get really crazy, like regardless of the timeline. But yeah, I'm interested to see how they handle all this. So I did not like this movie. The pacing's freaking terrible. Like the pacing is awful. Like that is one thing all the other movies did better is is pacing. This one is paced very bad. Now this was a TV show. The pacing could have been so much better. Now the acting's fine for the most part. Like Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, he does a really good job as Johnny Cage, and obviously Kano. I mean, come on, Josh Lawson as Kano is freaking awesome, and Makad Brooks as Jax. He's good as Jax. Hiroyuki Sanada, what little he's in, he's fine as Scorpion. Martin Ford was pretty good as Shao Kahn. You know, and then yeah, so we'll see. Like, I mean, Baraka was kind of a joke. Like, Baraka is, I'm pretty sure, supposed to be more serious. And okay, so Luke Kane, there's some question about like, is Luke Kane dead? Did he just burn? Did he just basically kill himself or something or did he like teleport away somewhere, or whatever? I don't know. Is he in like some fire god form where like is like because you have fire god Luke Kane and in the current games like Mortal Kombat 1, then you have the very end of Mortal Kombat 11. You had the whole fire god thing. You had the whole like chosen one thing like from Battle of the Realms where I think it was Shinnok is who he fought. So there's some questions of whether or not Liu Kang is dead. Now, some there, so Cole, Jax, Kun Lao, yes, they're dead. Like, so there's some questions about what's going on, what's gonna happen. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of this movie. Like the pace was so bad, nothing was able to sit. Like this could have been a TV show. Like you had like maybe an episode focused on each match, or whatever. Kind of I mean, I don't like you basically do it like how anime does it, where you have an episode per fight. I'm not saying like you don't drag it on like freaking Dragon Ball does, but you have like one episode per fight, like two at the most, and then like develop the characters, maybe show more, get more backstory involved. Like, I mean, because I mean, there isn't much backstory you need to show. I mean, there's problems. So yeah, I thought this was not a good movie. Like, it's not as bad as Annihilation. Annihilation is freaking horrendous, but this is definitely like right above it as far as like in ranking Mortal Kombat movies. I mean, Scorpion's Revenge is still the best one. Heck, all of the Mortal Kombat Legends movies are better than the live action movies, and it's not even close. Like the Legends movies are actually good. Like they're good, especially Scorpion's Revenge. Like Scorpion's Revenge is just freaking incredible. Like the other three were decent. They're not at the level of Scorpion's Revenge. Then you have, you know, Mortal Kombat 2021. It's okay. It's mid. 1995. That one's not good. It's better than like this one. Like if you were compared 2021 1995, you could say 1995 might have a better like script or whatever, just significantly worse acting that really brings it down below 2021. Like 2021 has significantly better acting. And of course, Annihilation is just horrendous. But yeah, like outside scripting, like dude, Mortal Kombat has enough lore where if you get a good adaptation, You could do a really good like story, like a really good like show or something. But yeah, I can't recommend this movie. Well, and that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.